Hello, my name's Litvin. I'm the co-author of the Prosperous Coach, and in this series I want to talk to you about creating clients, because clients are literally created. And first, I want to tell you a story. It takes me back to a kids show in England when I was a kid. Are you sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin. Well, that's what stories do, right? They take us back to being a child. So I'm about to tell you a story and then talk to you about telling a story. It was 2004 and I was a vice principal in a school in London. And this was my dream job. I was on this fast track to being a head teacher. It's what I'd wanted. I've been teaching for 15 years. This was my career path. And I went to work at a new school, changed jobs, went to work for a very inspiring head teacher. Within a few weeks, he left and the new boss came in and she wanted her own team. So within a couple of days, I got called into the office like literally a kid going to the head teacher. And I left there like a kid in tears because I'd just been fired. And I went off to Thailand, sat on a beach and spent time reflecting on my life. I'd been coaching anyway. I'd been trained in coaching skills. I was coaching leaders. I was coaching teachers. And somehow I had the insight that this is what I wanted to do. It didn't make sense. I'd never run a business before, but I knew this was a path that I wanted to head in. There was an opportunity to fly to the States, and I had no money. Got a letter from my accountant, and he said the Inland Revenue Service in the UK have refunded you some money, and whatever the money was just enough for me to pay for this workshop and a flight, and that was it. I was in, jumped on a plane, flew to San Francisco, arrived in San Francisco, checked my email, and got a message that said, I'm really sorry, the Inland Revenue wrote to us and said they made a mistake. Actually, you were not supposed to be refunded the money, so you need to give it back. And I still love that story because I never had the money. Just the idea that I could do something was enough to get me to do it. So many times in life I'm stopped because I think I shouldn't. I think there's a reason not to, and we make this stuff up all the time. I went to the coach training, quit after a day because it was so bad, and ended up in a course around relationships, a course around sensuality. I met a woman. 10 days later, I proposed to her, and she's now my wife, and we have 2 little boys. But there's this gap of 10 years in the middle where I went on this journey into coaching. Why do I tell you that story? Because we all have a story in us. Even if you're new to coaching, you're not a new coach. You're a new coach with a story behind you. You know, in 1992, I went to Botswana in Africa and taught kids for 2 years. I taught science. I was a science teacher. I taught children who were learning science in their 3rd language. They spoke Ikalanga, Setswana, and English was their 3rd language, and they were learning science. So part of the gift I have in communication, in literally hearing the words that the clients are not saying and being able to communicate powerfully when I'm talking, goes all the way back to then, when I was a 20-something kid learning to teach in a little rural village school. Would I recommend it for you if you're training to be a coach? No, but you've got your own story, your own background. And that's what I'm getting at today. Stories are powerful. They engage people. They draw your clients in. And stories are powerful because you remind yourself that you are not just this new coach or someone who's building a business, that you're a person with a world and a wealth of experience behind them. And that's what makes you fascinating. That's what draws people in and draws you out. So the challenge I'd like to leave you with is to start to craft your story. What's your story? Who are you? What have you done that makes you stand out, that makes you different, that makes you unique, that makes you unorthodox? And as weird and as wacky as it is, let me rephrase that, the more weird and wacky that it is, the more you'll draw your people to you. Creating clients begins with the story that you tell and the story that you create that draws your people to you as you begin to start the first step, which is to connect. You can't connect unless you have a way to connect, and your story is part of that. In the next video, we'll start this journey with the two parts, connect and invite. And we'll go on to talk about what it looks like to create and to propose. First step, your first challenge, is to go out and craft your story. Write, journal, whatever it takes, draw pictures, but draw out your own unique story.